Hey everybody, I know it's been multiple weeks since my last piece of content, but I am back now. It's been a whirlwind. Mainly, I was just extremely sick for many weeks. I literally sounded like a frog for about 3 weeks. So it was just no time for me to record something new. And then I also got busy with some new client work that came in. So it's just been a little bit of a whirlwind of time, but I'm back hopefully to regularly scheduled weekly content here. But it is a timely time, so to speak, to give you an update on a new release that some ad accounts are starting to see, and it's an interesting update. I will give my full thoughts on this towards the end of this video, but first let's go through what this update is. We are talking about Meta's new describe your audience feature. So this allows you to describe your audience in your own words to Meta, and then with that the AI will go and find the appropriate targeting options for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the screen here. I do not have access to this feature as of yet, so we are relying on this blog post from John Loomer. But once you get down to the detailed targeting, you're going to potentially see this. Again, not everyone has it. I don't have a single account that has this just yet, but potentially you'll see an option like this that says describe your audience, and you can click on get started, or you can click back on use original options and just do it the old-fashioned manual way where you type in your targeting options. However, if you do want to stick with describe your audience, then you get to type in whatever it is that you want in there to describe your audience. And so the example given right here is Meta advertisers who run an agency or independent consultants managing ads businesses that spend at least $10,000 per month. So there we go. Your maximum description length is 2,000 characters. This one's coming in at 132. So just to give you an idea of how much longer you can personally go on this. And then you can click on find options. And then once you click on find options, given this description right here, it came up with everything that has under that umbrella, or what fields would follow under that umbrella. Advertising agency, advertising management, advertising consultants, company revenue more than 10 million, advertising agents, advertising agency, and then advertising. And there's probably even more here if the screenshot was a little bit bigger. So really interesting option. I think probably the most unique part of this is that it's now going to make it a lot easier for you to find new targeting options. Not that there's thousands of new targeting options being introduced each and every single month. In fact, it's more so the reverse, that targeting options are being removed, but periodically there are targeting options that are being added. As for example, I actually did not know until I saw this that you can choose company revenue more than $10 million. That is actually brand new to me, right? I knew out of all these other ones, I've seen them before, I've used them before, advertising agency, advertising agents, advertising consultants, all that kind of stuff. I did not know, and I think it's actually pretty cool, depending on who your target audience is, that you can choose company revenue and base targeting off of that. So I think that's probably the most useful part of this, and then you can go ahead and select the ones that you want. If you can also hover over them, and it'll give you a description as to why this option is relevant based upon what you described, what you provided to Meta inside of that description, and then you just keep on adding and removing as is from there. All right, so before we get into my full thoughts on this feature, I did want to let you know that if you are in need of help, if you really need professional eyes, professional management on your account, whether it's with Meta or if it's with Google, my team and I can certainly help you. We have all sorts of packages and programs available depending on what your specific need is, whether you're a small business on a small budget or a large business on a large budget. We can certainly help you out. So I'm going to include a link in the description below. Just go ahead and click on that. You'll book a time with me personally. We'll hop on a Zoom call, talk about your business, what your goals are, and we'll figure out what the best solution for you is from there. I look forward to seeing you on that call. All right, so that is the breakdown of this feature. It is a pretty neat one. However, I don't think it is revolutionary in any way, shape, or form. Had this been even 2 years ago, I would have been like, this is amazing. Oh man, this is gonna just really change the game. But now, because of the way Andromeda works, it's okay. And if you don't know what Andromeda is or how it works, no worries. I have created content that covers all of that information. So I will link that for your convenience in case you want to check that information out. But at a very high level, the Cliff Notes version of Andromeda is that ad targeting really takes place at the ad level, not really the ad set level. So we've moved away from that. Actually, as a matter of fact, even when you put targeting options in at the ad set level, Meta themselves tell you, hey, this is just a suggestion. We're going to go beyond this. They really rely on the copy and creative of your ad to find the right people and get in front of that way. Because of all those reasons, this really isn't that big of a game changer. As a matter of fact, I very rarely use targeting options when it comes to Meta ads these days. Typically, I leave it completely blank and leave all the targeting up to my ads. Where this does come into play right now in the short term, and I have different thoughts on the long term, in the short term, where I do see targeting options still playing a role, it's a little bit later down the road when your campaign is already mature. So really, like I said, 95% of the time, maybe even higher, I'm just using broad targeting and just letting the targeting take place at the ad level. But what happens when you do that is that naturally your ads will gravitate to, let's just say, 2 to 3 buckets of types of customers that, based upon your ads, it's getting in front of. But what if there's more buckets? What if there's 4, 5, 6 buckets, but because of just the way your ads are being phrased, the images are being created, videos being edited, whatever it is, you're only getting in front of 2 or 3 of them. And sometimes what you need to do is to almost like wake up the algorithm and shake it a little bit out of its slumber, because you can say, hey, there's actually these other options over here. So that's where I see a lot of this taking place, or the use of targeting taking place these days, right? So if I have 4 or 5 ad sets, broad targeting, and they've already been going on for a while, and it just seems like I'm not getting in front of any new people, I'll introduce an ad set with targeting options, just to, again, wake that algorithm up, maybe have it look in a different direction for a little while, and just freshen things up. That's, in the short term, really the only use of targeting as it takes place. In the long term, I think this could actually be super, super interesting. Now, this is complete speculation. I do not have any insider knowledge on whether or not this is how it's going to work in the future, but I have seen some people out there on the interwebs speculating this, and I think it's a very interesting thought, and I certainly do hope that targeting becomes this in the future. And what some people are speculating is that in the future, there's literally going to be 0 targeting options at the ads level. They're going to be just gone, completely 100% gone. However, you'll still be able to describe your target audience, and that's going to be the targeting in the future, right? So your entire prompt that you provide, that is going to be your targeting, right? So if you say, let me scroll back up to the option right here we are looking at. So Meta advertisers who run an agency or are independent consultants managing ads for businesses that spend at least $10,000 per month, that would be 100% of the targeting. It just kind of reads and analyzes that, and then based upon that, it'll go out and find your people. If that is the case, again, this is all speculation. I'm not saying this is going to happen. If that is the case, that would be very exciting, because if you have a very good prompt on your target audience, then it just opens up a whole new world of opportunities. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to a client yesterday, and we were talking about her campaign results, and one of the issues that we're running into is that she's selling a $2,000 program, and a lot of people just don't have the income to be able to buy that. So they're the right people, they have the right pain points that she can solve, however, they can't afford her program. So for her, it would be very useful to have some sort of prompt that lists out, hey, here's my customer avatar. Oh, and by the way, they should be earning at least $80,000 per year, or whatever the number might be. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to afford her program. Right now, there is no way of doing that. I can seed a lookalike audience of her buyers. With targeting, it's going to eventually go away from whatever you provide. And then in the US, you can do zip code targeting, top 5 or 10% of zip codes. And that can sometimes help. Ultimately, I don't really see it moving the needle that much. However, even a prompt, if you are able to be very specific that way and say, hey, they must be earning at least this much money, or whatever it might be, then boom, again, that can really shift the algorithm in terms of who it gets in front of. And of course, the more detailed your prompt is, as is with all AI technology, whether it's this, ChatGPT, Claude, doesn't matter, the more detailed your prompt, the better output you're going to get. So this prompt right here, it's only 132 characters, your maximum is 2,000. If it does move to this at some point in the future, you should really be taking up all 2,000 characters, in my opinion. You don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to maximize all 2,000 characters or as close to as possible to give it a very specific and precise description. So hopefully that is the case in terms of where this is going in the future. I would find that to be extremely exciting, and it's really going to be a matter of how well do you know your target audience. My team and I, we do tons and tons of research on our customers' avatars, so we would be able to put together just the most amazing prompts on how to get in front of the right people. And then other businesses who maybe put less thought into it, oh, I'm just going after business owners and that's it, right? They're really going to struggle. Just keep that in mind. Again, this is all speculation. I don't know if that's the direction it's going to go in, but if it does, again, I would find that to be very exciting and intriguing. All right, there you have it. I hope you enjoy this update. It's an interesting one, but not revolutionary. It's not really going to change a lot, at least not in the short term. But again, be on the lookout to see how this evolves over in the long run. So as always, if you have any questions about this topic or any other topic I cover, please go ahead and let me know in the comments. I do as best as possible to get back to everyone, regardless of where you're commenting, within 48 hours. So go ahead and post that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.